look in your bulletin, there's a special insert there about a Middlers outing that we're excited about and hope you can participate in. But we're going to sing now 548 for our offertory hymn, Wonderful Song, Servant's Heart. We'll sing both verses and you can remain seated as we sing. Make me we continue singing this evening, 587. You just can't beat this one, huh? Victory in Jesus. Let's stand together. Lift our voices thinking about the message that we're singing this evening. We are privileged and thrilled to have our missionaries to India with us tonight, Simon family. And I guess we've been supporting y'all a long time, because I know we were supporting you when I came, and that was 20 years ago. And what a privilege. We always look forward to getting the updates and seeing how the Lord is blessing and using you. And we're delighted. It really is a blessing to have you all here with us tonight. Brother Simon, I'm going to invite you to come now and share whatever the Lord's laid on your heart. Delighted to have all of you with us this evening.
Good evening. we are in the U.S. after 6 years, but when we came to the U.S. 6 years ago, I don't think we came to this church, so we calculated it's probably been about 8 years. So I want to thank you for your faithful prayers and support for the ministry. Over the years, you started supporting the ministry when my father led the ministry. A few of you already have come up to me and said that he stayed with you and you remember him, so on and so forth. So we thank you so much for standing with us as we reach our brothers and sisters in India for Christ. I just want to read a verse from Acts chapter 13, then I want to go to the slides, some of the pictures that I have brought here. It looks like pictures do better. You get a better picture of or understanding of what is happening there. Acts chapter 13, and Paul is speaking here, and here in Acts chapter 13 and verse 47, he's quoting from Isaiah chapter 49 for the most part. For so hath the Lord commanded us, saying, I have set thee to be a light of the Gentiles, that thou shouldest be for salvation unto the ends of the earth. He's reminding the people, God in Isaiah is reminding the people of Israel about their divine appointment. Said here has to do with that. It's appointment for a specific task, for a specific function. And in His wisdom, He has placed us in India to be a light to the Gentiles. And that's what we are doing there. And God, in His wisdom, He has placed you over here. And the light of the gospel is going out. So here, we have some slides here. We'll take a look at what the Lord is doing through us in India. And as you see this picture, I want you to know that I don't think that any of you have come to India to be with us, to work with us, but what's happening here, the pictures that you see, and what the Lord is doing in India, it is because of your faithful prayers. It is because your sacrificial giving. It makes it possible for us to go into the villages of India, in the cities of India, to preach the gospel and bring people to Christ. The main focus of our ministry is church planting. Should I aim here this way? Okay. All right. We are planting churches in 5 states of India, way up north in Punjab. This is Pakistan here. We've been able to plant a church way up there, just a few miles from the Pakistan border. Straight down here for the state of Kerala, this is where we live, and we've been able to establish 20 churches in this state. Right next state over, Tamil Nadu, in the southern part of the state, we've been able to establish 3 churches. Straight up north, it used to be called Orissa. Now it's been changed to Odisha, with the Hindu majority party pushing the Hindu nationalism. It's been changed back to the, am I pressing anything here? Okay, sorry about that. Odisha, 18 churches are there, and straight north again in West Bengal, we are way up here, close to just 2 hours from Nepal and another Hindu country called Bhutan. So we've been able to establish 1 church up there. Just a few pictures of what's happening in Kerala. As you know, 20 churches have already been established, and just pictures of some of the churches. You see the cultural difference already in these pictures. Ladies sit on one side, men sit on the other one. other side, and the youngsters are pushed to the floor. And our worship services can last anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. A lot of singing is there. Right now, back home, we have our summer vacation. Schools are out. That's why our children are traveling with us. So every year, during summer vacation time, we gather all the young people from our churches to have a youth camp. So this year's youth camp ended on April 22nd. This year we had about 80 came for the camp, and 6 young people gave their lives over to the Lord, 6 salvations. And with globalism and the internet and social media, I think world is becoming not just one nation, I think just one city. And the young people are having some of the same struggles that your young people are having over here. So this is a time where we can pull them aside. We offer counseling classes, we offer Bible lessons, and then they have group activities. On the first day of the camp, we start with some competitions. You see way up there. They are actually writing essays. We give them a passage, a verse, and a theme from the Bible, and they are asked to produce an essay. Then group discussions and group activities are there. The pastors from these churches and their wives serve as the camp counselors. Because it's a camp, not a church, we do get a lot of Hindus. We do get a lot of our young people bringing their friends that are from other faiths, and it gives us a chance to give the gospel out to them. This is from another competition. Reference, they give a Bible reference competition. Another thing that we are doing, because schools are out, vacation Bible schools, and together between all the 20 churches in Kerala, every year we minister to close to 800 to 1,000 children. Once again, because it's not church, we do get a lot of Hindu children. Occasionally we get some children from the Muslim families. And once again, here is a great chance for us to teach them the Bible and preach the gospel. And we use a curriculum. We teach them action songs, Bible verses, and game time, and to keep things interesting. And as I said, this happens to be in the capital city of Kerala. We've been able to establish this church a few years back, and most of these children don't belong to the church. They come just because it's a vacation Bible school. And through some of these children, we are then able to reach their parents. Convention, we call it's a big evangelistic outreach that we do. And this is another way we are reaching out. As you can see here, we put up this temporary tent just for meetings like this, and we announce in the community. Then we invite people to come. We do a lot of singing. Singing is very much part of our culture, and when we travel up to Punjab, singing is really part of their culture. And before a meeting like this, the singing will go on for 2 hours. They just keep singing and sing. Then you have an hour or so for message. So music is very much of a part of the culture. And here we invite people to come. Most of them, these are believers, but unbelievers do come. You see a lot of people standing back. This is a main road. A lot of people stand there. They don't want to come inside and take a seat, especially if they are Hindus and they are from other faiths. They don't want any of their friends or relatives seeing them. So this is another way where we can teach the believers and reach the unbelievers. And other churches in our association, they are encouraged to do so. and the churches up in Orissa, they also do this. For the 20 churches in Kerala, this is a special time because at the end of the convention, that's on a Sunday, we normally end it. This is all the believers from all these churches come together for a common worship like this. And for that, we get 1,000 to 1,200 people. And this is another very special because most of these churches in Kerala, they are not able to have baptisms in their own village because of the opposition. We used to have the freedom to go to a river to baptize, or to a creek, or to a pond. Now Hindus give us trouble if we do that. So when people get saved, they normally wait until convention time so they can come to a safer place and to be baptized. And one of the things we do, the Hindu government, federal government, we have a Hindu majority party, they are the ruling party. They are making it extremely difficult for us to be Christians. And so what we do, if a Hindu person, they come to know the Lord, and we do this with everyone in the north, when we baptize, we get a signed statement from them. Because the government and the Hindu extremists are accusing us of forceful conversion. And they're saying, you are making them, you are luring them, you are giving them money to convert to Christianity. But we want to make sure. So we secure a signed statement so the government cannot give us any trouble. So every year during convention, many baptisms and definitely preaching of the word. In the southern states, we still have the freedom to do a lot of open air preaching. We go to the streets with a car and with the sound system. Once again, we start singing, and then someone can give the gospel out. These men are standing here we have gospel tracts, we have New Testaments that we give out. So this is another way we are reaching our people. This is the youth, young people of a church that we have planted. They are doing an outreach open air meeting. This happens to be in a Hindu pilgrimage in the state of Kerala. Every year, without exaggeration, millions of people come to that pilgrimage, and they are standing on the street in that city and preaching Christ. Ordination, because as you know, when we plant these churches, obviously someone will have to come and take over the church, to be the pastor, to shepherd the people. So these 3 young men, they were ordained in the month of February. These 2 are graduates of our Bible college. They are already placed in ministry. This is the newest church plant in the state of Kerala. Young man here is a church planter, and this is the nucleus. As you can see, very small group now, and they are meeting in the house that you see in the background, and predominantly a Roman Catholic and Hindu area, but these people have come to Christ, and we are early April, we did a lot of open air meetings and door-to-door visitation with the gospel, and some responses are there, and we request you to pray for this church. In the state of Odisha, we've been able to plant 18 churches, and one of the reasons we come over to this country every so often is to raise funds for buildings like this. A church gave about $6,500, and we were able to build a permanent structure like this for this church and churches like this, because some of you are aware of the caste system. It's still practiced. So when we, for example, let's say we go to a village, we preach the gospel, let's say people from different castes, they have responded. In the initial stage, it's very difficult for us to gather them together into a house because of the caste system. almost always an upper caste person will refuse to even enter the house of a lower caste person. So that's where common worship places like this come into place. Now, this congregation is made up of different tribes, different castes. But in the initial stage, it's very difficult. So, pastor is pictured here, and one thing you'll notice that a lot of young people, a lot of children, they are responding to the gospel, and they are coming to Christ. And I think we see that. I think it's seen all over the world. Ladies are quicker to respond to the gospel. And when I talk about caste, we've seen a lot of lower caste people respond to Christ faster than the upper caste people. Some of the house churches in Orissa, this young man just graduated from the Bible college, and he's deciding whether he wants to do 2 more years of higher studies. If not, he's going to go back to Orissa to be a pastor. This is our city church. In 2008, you might remember a big wave of persecution went through Orissa. Churches were burned down, Christians were chased out of their homes, and people in the villages that we were working in, people just ran out. First they just ran out into the woods, sought shelter there, then eventually they made their way into the capital city. A bigger city was more safer for them. So when few of those people settled in the city, they called us. We are here now. Would you send someone here to pastor a church? That's how we planted this church. And presently, they run about 100, 120 people are coming there regularly. You see, in the book of Acts, once again, people preach, persecution comes, then believers are scattered. And wherever they go, they take the gospel. And this is a testimony of persecution is not always bad. And what they've been through that, just imagine one day you just have to leave your home, run for life from your home with whatever you have in your hands. And that's what they have done. And it's amazing how the Lord is blessing them. Spiritually, materially, they have more than they ever had before. Some of them own vehicles. They didn't have sandals before. And the Lord is really honoring their faithfulness. And they are reaching out into the smaller villages. When we do our big conventions, open air meetings, people from this church, they come with us. They do the cooking, they do the planning, they do the cleaning, so the locals can sit there and listen to the gospel. The city church again. We raised the funds to build them a church like this. They've already expanded it twice, and they ran out of room. So real estate is very costly in India, but the young man here, he also is a graduate of our Bible college. He is pastoring this congregation, and so this church is a result of persecution, and they are stronger than ever. Just a few more churches in the state of Orissa. Last summer, me and my wife and 2 other men from our state, we traveled up there. I taught the pastors, my wife taught the pastors' wives, and another taught classes for children, and another young man taught, pictured here, he taught the young people, and we were fascinated to find out how hungry these young people are for, to hear, to listen. We would end a meeting and they'll not leave. They'll just stay seated there, teach us more, teach us another song. And next week, my brother and his wife and a few others are going up there just to work with the young people. And you see here, we are teaching them songs and action songs and different things, and they are responding. Punjab is another state where we are planting churches. You are probably familiar with Sikh faith, S-I-K-H. A lot of Sikhs are in New York City, a lot of Sikhs are in Canada. The men wear the turbans, and believe it or not, they say it's a blend of Hinduism and Islam faith. So Punjab is, I would say 90-95% are Sikhs, and we are trying to reach them. A lot of people are coming to Christ, and a lot of these are from Sikh faith, and you can still see some of the men standing there. So when they come to Christ, they take it off, but some of them wear it again. So just because they have the turban doesn't necessarily mean they still follow Sikhism. And it's not an easy group to reach because they are very comfortable, they are very satisfied in their faith. So slower response than other places. So we've been able to establish 3 churches up there. Fourth one is just a Bible study group meeting on Sunday evenings. And Shiju is our director there. He's overseeing the work. And so he's pastoring a church. And these 2 gentlemen, they are pastoring the other 2 churches. They are former Sikhs. They have come to Christ. They've been trained, and now they are reaching their own people. And this is a service where people are being baptized. Isn't it amazing how the gospel is a powerful message? And when it goes out, lives are changed. And we are definitely seeing that in the state of Punjab. West Bengal, few years back, I don't remember exactly, one of our own graduates, pictured here by the name of Samson. Samson is from the northeast part of India. He came and expressed the desire to work with us, and we sent him to West Bengal. He went and found out a village where no Christian, none, no church, not even a single Christian was in that village. It's predominantly a Buddhist village, just a few Hindu families. So he went there. He worked there 2 years before he saw the first convert, first person give his life to the Lord. Interestingly, it was a Buddhist priest. Then slowly, God did some amazing things in that village. Now a congregation, 30-35 people are meeting together. The work there is slow, but once again, they are responding to the gospel. I was able to go up there and work with him. This piece of land here, we just been able to buy that for the church there. 3,000 square feet of land. But in US dollars, it cost us $17,500. Land is very expensive, and through the generous giving of a person, now actually a church is considering providing the funds so a building can be built there. And one thing we are finding out, the prices are going up because it's a very hilly place. Big tea gardens are there, very cool climate, probably the end of the Himalayas, and a lot of city people are buying land here, plots here, to build their summer homes, vacation homes. So, you know, I'm always fascinated how God puts these things together. So imagine a church there, and not only the villagers, but God is bringing people over there. And so maybe pray that a building can be built there. You see the hills. This picture doesn't do justice. You see the house just on top, but it will roads are like this. You wind your way up there. So recently we've been able to buy a motorcycle, a motorbike for Samson, the 300cc. That's the biggest engine we have there because he has to go up the hill. Now he's married and they have a son. So God is doing wonders there. This is the small congregation that is worshiping the Lord together. Kerala Baptist Bible College. This is the training center. This is where we spend a lot of time. Both of us teach there, and we do a lot of administration. Julie works with the ladies there. We have about enough room space to take 55 students. So every year we have between 50 and 55. Last year we had students from 13 different states. Now, when I say 13 different states, please understand that means 13 different languages. So all the teaching there is done in English. This is a chapel. We sing some of the same hymns that you sing here. Last time I came through here, I was collecting books because it's done, teaching is done in English. We use some of the same books that you use here. And some people gave money, others gave their books, and we were able to send it in a container, buy books. And so we have a very nice library. Close to 9,000 books are there where the students can use for their study. Gospel Mission Prayer Day is like our missions conference. Most of these students go back to their own places, but our missions conference, we are encouraging our students to consider cross-cultural ministry. When you talk about cross-cultural ministry, you may be talking about a person going from here to another country, but we are talking about a person going out to the next state. It's a different culture, different language, and so we are seeing a lot of our students do that. This is the graduation which took place on March 2nd. 15 young people graduated. 15 possibilities. And just a few pictures. Pastor, let me know the time, okay? Okay. We can tell stories about every single one here. This is the best preacher out of this group. He's from Mizoram, northeast corner of India, where we border Myanmar, the old Burma, and he still has family in Burma. He wants to be an evangelist. He wants to travel from place to place preaching the gospel. This young lady is from Punjab. She is trying to establish a ministry there to work with the ladies. He's from the state of Assam. He's already took a church over. Kal Bahadur, his parents are from Nepal. His sister came to know the Lord first. Then she married a Christian. And through her witnessing, Kal came to know the Lord. So they are shunned from the rest of the family. They are not allowed in their own homes. If some extended family members allow them to enter inside, once they leave, they have to go through the purification ceremonies. So the house is clean again. Otherwise, people will not come to their homes. So these people, when they say yes to Christ, some of them, for example, some of them are staring at the possibility of never finding a job. Some of them are looking at the possibility of staying poor for the rest of their life. We have fathers to whom we presented the gospel. They are convinced this is the way. Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and no one can come to the Father except through Him, then they say, brother, I can't. Because if I do that, I will never find husbands for my daughters. So saying yes to the gospel, people pay a very high price. Lower caste people, they have reservation, quotas, jobs, they get this and that. But the moment they become, say yes to Christ, they become Christians, they lose that. This young man is from a family like that, from the lowest or lower caste. He is from a state north of Odisha, probably the most persecuted state in India, Chhattisgarh. He is hoping that someday he is a believer and his mother is a believer. And he is really praying that the Lord will allow him to plant a church in his village. His heart is heavy for his own people. I have never been to that state. I shared his story in one of the newsletters. Kanil came to us 5 years ago, but he didn't tell us his entire story. In fact, when he came, he spoke very little English. So when interviewing, we thought he was a believer, but he wasn't. But within the first 6 months, he came to know the Lord. He did our undergraduate degree, 3-year program. Then he completed Master of Divinity. So after his completion, we were sitting down and talking, and he told us a story. He said, in 5 years, I didn't tell you, but I have not gone home. Because my father is the village chief. He persecutes Christians. Every Christian in my village, anyone who would come into the village with the gospel, my father would make sure he get there and beat them up and persecute, all sorts of things. Anyway, about a year and a half ago, Kanil called and told his mother, Mom, I am studying to be a pastor. Imagine that. She was shocked. During the, following months, gradually she told her husband what their son was doing. Their hearts softened. They didn't accept Christ. But now the problem is the villagers. They said, if you come back to the village, we will do to you what your father has done to so many people. So that's what he is faced with. He's still in Kerala. We are trying to communicate with him. From here, we are encouraging him to go to another place within his state. Maybe the Lord will open. So there is a story with every single one here, but we are thrilled what the Lord is going to go do through them. We have an extension program in the state of Punjab. It's a Bible Institute, 2-year program. And this is our first graduates. These two are from Nepal. And once again, because it's up in Punjab, we do the teaching in Hindi. Hindi is our national language. So altogether, 20 graduates we had this year. We are doing some alumni meetings for the college to find out where our graduates are, what they are doing. Some of them, after they graduate, we never hear from them. And through these meetings, we are able to track them down, and it's heartwarming how faithfully some of these people are working in rural places. When we were up there, this took place in the state of Nagaland. We were up there, we did the meeting on a Sunday afternoon, but Saturday afternoon, early Saturday morning, few graduates showed up, said we cannot stay for the meeting because we have to take a bus, almost 8 to 10 hours on a bus. Then they have to get out and walk several miles, up to 10 miles one person, to get to the church that they are pastoring. So nobody, no recognition, nobody sees them but the Lord. And they are faithfully serving the Lord. We do have a day school that is part of our ministry, kindergarten up to 7th standard. It's a government recognized school. Because it is so, we are not able to share gospel with them openly. So this was taken, picture was taken during our Christmas program. So we find special occasions like that to give the gospel to the children. Because we provide good education in English, most of our students are from Hindu homes. We do have actually a number of Muslim children, but gospel is heard. Children's Home, after 22 years of ministry, we had to close our doors on March 31st. We sent out a newsletter. If you received that, you already read about it. Heartbreaking, but the government, our federal government is making it very difficult for us. In fact, some of the extremists within the ruling party is vouching. They are saying by 2022, we want all the Christians out of India. They want all the Muslims out of India. So the extremists within the party, they are trying to do it by force, disrupting church services, beating up people, beating up pastors, and those that are in authority, like our Prime Minister Modi, they are trying to change the law so that India will become a sole Hindu nation and other faiths cannot exist there. So government regulations, what it would mean if we take the next step, which the government was requiring, then the government will appoint staff at the orphanage. So that power, that privilege is taken away from us. So ministry will not be possible. Then they will decide who comes into our home. And so it's basically turning over the whole program to the government. And we looked into all the possibilities. There were other institutions just like us, not just our children's home. But these were the 6 young ladies that were under our care when we closed, but we've been able to place them in different places. About 2 years, we knew it was coming, so we had not taken any new children. We had up to 35, 40 children at one time. Gradually, we came and looked into the possibility, and we had to close. But we thank the Lord that the older children, they know the Lord, they've been baptized, and the young lady, she has not made a profession of faith. They are sisters. We have some concerns for them, their well-being. Their mother is living, and so pray that they've heard the gospel, pray that they will come to the saving knowledge of Christ, and others have come to know the Lord. This is the ministry that the Lord has given to us, and thank you for your part in it. You faithfully pray for us. You faithfully stand with us through your sacrificial giving, and that's making it possible for us to go into the villages with the gospel. If you are receiving our newsletter, I hope most of you are. If you wish to receive it after the service, would you give me your address? We also send it through email. If you only want to receive the email updates, I can put you on our list. If you are on Facebook, you can look me up, Shibu Simon, Shibu, and we have created a secret group. I don't know how secret it is. Because of government regulations, we don't put a lot of things out there, but in that group we share some pictures, prayer requests, some updates. I will be happy to add you to that group. Thank you once again for being a part of what our great God is accomplishing in India. If we have time, I'll be more than happy to answer, take some questions, and Pastor, you can stop me at any time, and I will. Any questions? Maybe you want to ask some questions to my wife, and our 2 children are here regarding the ministry. Yes, sir.
Since your father came over here in the 80s, has the persecution
increased. Oh yeah. Within the last, especially since this government came in power, that we are talking about 3.5 years, persecution has increased tremendously all over India. Northern churches, they will not even think about doing an open air meeting like you've seen here, like some of the southern churches are. I mean, they wouldn't even, before they finish setting up, they'll be chased out and beaten up. Yeah, it's going up. Yes. Sir.
I don't know if it was you or one of your brothers who was over here in the 90s, and you were having a lot of trouble getting fresh water. Has that been successful?
I think you're talking about the college. Yes, yeah, we've been able to drill a well. We've been able to build, we call it rainwater harvesting. We collect the rainwater from rooftops, guide that into a tank. So we have one actually, we have a second one in construction as we speak. So water is a big problem, and slowly that is getting addressed. Yes, sir.
For the caste system, how many different layers are there, or I should say separations?
Okay. There are 4 major castes. You have the highest caste called the priestly class. Right below them is the fighting class. Right below them, the merchants, the business class, then the lowest caste. So within this 4 category, you have hundreds, literally, hundreds of different subcastes. Let's take the lower caste for example. Carpentry is a caste. So if you are born into that caste, that historically, things are changing now. That's all you would do. You would not think about being an engineer. You work you do carpentry, blacksmith, goldsmith. These are all different castes. So hundreds within this 4 castes. Yeah. And thankfully, at the college, many different castes are on staff. Many are among the student body. We try to emphasize the oneness in Christ, but it's not as easy. I don't want to, because it's really in our minds. You're taught, and the government is really pushing the caste issue. Northeast side of India, it's more tribal, and we have rival tribes, and we have those students come to the college, and it's not so easy in the beginning. But by the time they understand the love of Christ, that He loved us sinners, undeserving, unworthy. He extended His love and grace to us. Yeah. Yes, sir.
We, of course, are getting more and more Indian folks living here.
Mm.
I could go to Wegmans, have quite a few Indians there at Wegmans. What do you, how would you say, if I was to talk to someone who was from India to initiate a conversation with on Christ, a question I could just ask them, what kind of a question?
Yeah, it's a very difficult question for me to answer. What I do is I center the conversation on the gospel, because otherwise you will get sidetracked. If I tell a Hindu about Christ, he has no problem accepting Christ uh, because a religion that is almost 300 million gods, accepting Christ as another God is not an issue. Most Hindus would respect Christ. They will see him as a very pious person, very holy person. But when we talk about Christ alone, that's where the issue is. I try to center the conversation on the gospel. There is no other way. Otherwise, you get sidetracked. Indians like to carry the conversation more on the academic side, more on the philosophical side. So bring them back to the gospel. That's what I do. And you're very true that there are a lot of Indians here. For the first time, all these years, I preached in my mother tongue to a group of people from my home state in Philadelphia last week. They are here. The church we were in this morning in Piscataway, New Jersey, a lot of people from one of the state north of us. Most of them are singles, most of them are students. Some of them are working in the IT field, so a lot of Indians are coming. I can minister to Indians right here. They are coming. The young people are searching. That's a good thing. And in fact, young lady, Muslim, young lady from India, she stayed in the house where we stayed last night. This family, they've been reaching out to her, and we sat down and talked with her. She wants to put her faith in Christ, but she is facing exactly what we talked about here. Her father, and all the pressures, Her father didn't want her to come over here. Her mother kind of pushed the issue. Now the father is blaming the mother, and she feels like if she places her trust in Christ, the opportunities her younger brother and her cousins will have to come over to the U.S. will be closed. So look what happened to your sister. We sent her over there for studies. She became a believer. She abandoned her faith. So she is really struggling. I can tell in talking to her, her heart is heavy. She's so close to putting her faith in Christ, but being distracted with all these other pressures. So would you pray for Salma, that the Lord will give her the grace to say yes to Christ?
Most of the persecution is from the Hindus.
Yes.
Do you have any from Muslims?
Where the Muslims are in majority, like a state Kashmir, there Christians are facing persecution from the Muslim community. In some pockets within our state, a lot of Muslims are there. But all over India, it's coming mainly from the Hindu extremists.
If they're successful in passing the laws to make it just Hindu nation, what do you anticipate will happen to the ministry?
I don't know. It's an unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. So most Christians feel we have such a short window, so we are working with that in mind. We don't know what's going to happen. Muslim community, for the most part, they've been kind of sitting back and taking it all, but that's not going to last for a long time. They are going to start revolting. So some things are going to happen there. And, for some, people who are religious Christians, by no means they are not born again. Some of the young people are also talking about picking up arms and, responding in a different way. So we don't know what's going to happen. So until then, we have to preach the gospel, reach as many as we can. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that each state has a different language, but does everyone in those different states speak English, or are there still some that within the state that don't know English that you would have to?
Right, good question. You remember India was a British colony until 1947. So English is very much there. We have to start taking English from kindergarten onwards. So yes, English is taught from kindergarten onwards. So most people know how to read and write English. Speaking is different. So you travel through India, you will still see a lot of signs, road signs in English. We'll have it in the local language and also in English. So if you know English, you can travel through India without any problem. Our English is an Indian brand. It's difficult to understand, but yes, so it's taught from very young age. We do have a national language. It's Hindi. I don't speak Hindi. I can read and write Hindi. My wife speaks Hindi. So even though that's a national language, I would say more people speak English than Hindi. So that's a trade language. But this government, once again, federal government is really trying to push Hindi over English. So a lot of things are changing. Yes, ma'am. Well, the church will support them as much as they can, and some of the funds that we raise here is going towards them to supplement their income. If it's a rural church, let's take for example, if a rural church in the state of Orissa, if you take the local income, until that church gets up to about 300 to 400 in membership, they will never be able to support their pastor because there are not a lot of jobs are there. In Kerala, it's a little different. We have some churches that are already financially independent. Others, through the ministry, through the giving here, through the money that's given to the ministry, the pastors are paid through the mission. Some of them do work, yeah. Some of them do work. We have some pastors up in Orissa selling vegetables. We have some pastors, few pastors in Kerala driving taxi. Yeah. But they try to contribute their majority of their time for ministry. Yes. We'll be more than happy to stay after the service as long as you want us to stay here answering your questions. And we thank you so much for your part in what our great God is doing in India. Thank you, Pastor, for the invitation.
Thank you so much. We have different brands of English in the States too, so I was thinking about this little song, and I always think about this from years gone by at camp when we'd be challenged to serve the Lord and sell out to the Lord. 635, I have decided to follow Jesus. I was thinking about Brother Simon's testimony there, and in the midst of all the persecution, but they have sold out to the Lord and decided to serve Him with their lives no matter what, and there's no turning back. And so thankful for them, and it's a privilege to have them with us tonight. But let's think about the words, and I hope we can sing this from our hearts tonight, truly mean it. Let's stand together, 635. Amen. Praise the Lord. It's a good day in the Lord's house today. Special service tonight. Thank you so much for that. We want to be a blessing to the Simons and to their ministry as they continue to serve the Lord faithfully, report to their churches, and then return to India and continue ministering and preaching the gospel. So we'll have the plates by the front doors of the church. If you'd like to give a love offering to their ministry, then we'd like to give you the opportunity to do so tonight. Brother Mike Greck, would you dismiss us in prayer this evening, sir?